on, everybody? Andrew Thompson here of the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. There's a very special guest on the opposite end of the line for this conversation right now. He is the current AAW Heritage Champion, Hakim Zane, or otherwise known as Rohit Raju of Impact Wrestling. How are you today, sir?
I am good. What is going on?
Nothing much, my brother. Me and you were literally just off air, chatting about the briefly about the Royal Rumble for a bit. Recapping some of the highlights from that stuff. So we had a real good conversation off the air, and that was very refreshing just to get some different points from somebody in the business about what is going on different products and stuff. So that was real refreshing.
Oh yeah. I know we just kept going. We're like, man, we're not even on air yet. We should probably get on air.
I say now, do you prefer to go by Hakeem or Rahit for this interview?
Real Heat's fine. I mean, because that's the
That's
main thing.
okay.
I do Hakeem. The Hakeem Zane is the name I started off with,
Mm.
and even when I first started Impact, it was Hakeem Zane. And I'm half Indian, so we wanted to get a good Indian group going, so we went with a more traditional name, Rohit Raju. But I do Hakim Zane on a couple indies just so I can do something different, and show that I'm more than what people see on TV, especially at AAW right now. I'm having so much fun there. So, but Rohit's fine.
Okay. So we gonna mix it up a little bit throughout the interview. How about that?
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Sounds
cool.
good.
So Rohit, as you mentioned, as I mentioned, you're the current AAW Heritage Champion. I've spoken to a handful of wrestlers about their promotion. Just tell me what makes AAW so special that it seems like a hotbed for most of the top talents on the independent scene. Basically throughout the years since it first began, you can go back and look at many names within the wrestling business who are at the top of their games right now that have competed in AAW and got their start in the promotion as well.
Yeah, it is by far the biggest promotion in the Midwest. It's so big that when the Young Bucks wanted to hype up their feud with the Lucha Bros right before AEW got started, they did it there. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? They did it there at AAW, and they showed up unannounced, and the crowd it just they went insane. And then when ACH came back, after he had left WWE, he showed up unannounced. Just showed up at AAW. The pop for that was huge. And then, Cody Rhodes has been there, and the names that you have seen, excuse me, the names that you have seen pass through there, Seth Rollins. He was one of their champions for a long time. Ruby Riott, she's been there. Colt Cabana frequents there a lot. Like I said, Cody Rhodes, the Bucks, Lucha Bros, all those guys, top names go through there. So being able to be one of their champions right now and have such free reign on their stage means a lot to me because it gets a lot of eyes. So, and it also gets a chance for me to show the world that I'm more than what you see on TV. So it feels really good.
I say now I know this past weekend, as of this interview this past weekend, I know you defended your title against Paco, I believe, at AAW's The New Dawn show.
Yes,
How do you think that
yes.
match went?
It was by far one of my favorite matches.
Okay,
The
that's cool.
crowd, Paco is so over in Chicago. He's that underdog,
Is
and
he
I
is he,
just
is he
crap
from
on him
there?
every time I'm. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Well, I mean, he says he's from Chicago, so I guess it's. I
okay.
mean, and then, but like, and so he's the underdog, and he beat Jake something, big badass Jake something for the belt,
Mm.
who's been a very dominant champion at the Logan Square, which was awesome. That was such a great match. And then we went to LaSalle. Was it LaSalle? I think it was LaSalle. And I, cheated to win, took the belt from him there. And then the match was just hot. It started off hot. Right when I walked out, he hit the suicide dive on myself and Karam. And it was a no holds barred match. Bruised me up real good with this kendo stick. And we just went to town, and the crowd was there for every pin. They were there for every strike, all the way to the finish. And they were just, it was such a great story. And then I just ate everybody alive afterwards with a promo, and the promo was off the top of my head. I usually have bullet points of what I want to say, and then I just get the ball rolling. And it was great, and it was great. I feel like I'm one of the best talkers in the game, and AAW is giving me that chance to prove it, and I think I proved it again with that promo after that match. It was just, I loved it, man. It was a great story. The crowd was there, and I got to cut my promo afterwards. It was just a perfect mix.
I say now, while speaking about promos, actually, I remember I seen a few clips on AAW social media pages when so there was a guy who was cutting a promo, and you couldn't tell who the guy was. And I was listening to these. I'm like, okay, I was like, that's a real good promo, right? I wonder who that is. And they were teasing like it was gonna be this big reveal. And the person who was cutting the promo was saying, well, you're never going to guess who this is because a lot of you don't pay attention to me, et cetera, et cetera. And then it ended up being you. And then it was like,
Right.
oh wow, okay, that was a nice story. And it felt like from what I took from the promos that was like legit feelings that you felt like people weren't really like knowing what you can do on the microphone, and that was like your way of
Yeah.
proving it. Like, I'm gonna get you so invested into this person, and you don't even know who this is. And then once I finally reveal who this is, you're all gonna be on my bandwagon. That's kind of how it felt, how I took it.
It was, but I honestly felt like they were going to be disappointed when I saw how big the promos blew up,
Right, right.
and and some people were, you know what I mean. But that's what why the promos they stem from that, because I cut these promos and everyone's like, oh, it has to be Austin Aries,
Mm,
oh, it has to be Eli Drake, oh, it's Killer Cross, oh, it's so and so. They're naming all these top unsigned guys, and then it was me. But they were so invested in the promo, and then they found out it was me, and they were like, "Oh, it's just him."
right.
Oh, and all of a sudden, no, you didn't like it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though I had you invested, all of a sudden you didn't like it, and I just think that's such horseshit. But that's why I cut the promo, because I can do that. I
Right.
can cut that promo, and I can cut it. And in the immortal words of Arn Anderson, not to toot my own horn, but toot toot. You know what I mean? I do believe in my promos, and someone said the other day, he goes, "Oh wow, you're really being modest about it," and I laughed, but I do believe in it, and I believe in it so much that I will drive that point home, that I will out talk just about anybody out there right now, whether they're on Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, I don't care. I'm going to out talk them. And AAW gave me that chance to do that, and I proved my point. Whether people liked it or not, I proved the point, because everybody was flipping over the promos, and then when they found out it was me, they're like, "Oh, it's just him. Oh, we don't like him." And then the promo when the reveal promo was so good, I got half of those people, because there were people like, I wasn't thrilled that it was you that cut those promos, but then when you cut that promo at Logan Square, you were so intense and you cut it with such fire and emotion that I was hooked, and I wanted to see where it went. And that's kind of what I was also hoping for. But I'm at that point now with these promos. It's half of it's like, it's just, the feelings are real feelings. You know what I mean? I do feel like I have a lot to offer that I don't get those opportunities. And so I did something to where I got the opportunity. And a lot of the guys at AEW believed in me, and they helped me do it. They were like, Trent and Rob were a big part of that, making those promos come to life. And I prove it. And I'm okay with people hating me. I'm definitely okay with that, because to be honest, I don't like a lot of wrestling fans. I don't like the way, not like personally, but I
No,
don't
no,
like the
I get what you're
way
saying.
like people are, how they complain and how they try to shit on things, and sometimes people are just so preconditioned to cheer certain things, and it's just like, man, you guys aren't even thinking. You're just being robots, and you're just oh, they did a Canadian destroyer, even though it looked like shit. I'm gonna cheer it. It's like, get out of here, get out of here. But like, I take that like very gritty and bitter side, and I kind of turn it up a little bit, and disgruntled side, and I use it, and I think it's great. And now I just want to be that heel. Like, I don't care if people think, oh, he's a cool heel. No, I hope people hate my guts, because I'm going to regurgitate that and put it all back on the wrestling community, and that's like just more fuel for my fire.
And you do have some throwback promos on YouTube. I don't know if you ever go back and watch those, but it's like like just raw footage. You just ready, look like you ready and hungry for an opportunity. Like do you ever go back and see some of those or watch some of those? And what advice do you have for fellow independent wrestlers who are like climbing that proverbial ladder, who are trying to make their way in the business and get to a top spot, or get to get signed to a promotion or a company?
Nowadays it's different. I mean, nowadays it's all social media. You can be a very talented individual, or you don't have to be a talented individual. I always use Donovan Danhausen as an example. When I first met him, he just looked like a CM Punk clone. He had the tattoos. He was trying to do that style, and then next thing you know, he just kind of tapped into his weird side. Are you familiar with Danhausen?
Yeah, I've seen them all over
Yeah.
social media, man.
Exactly, right? All over social media. He tapped into something that nobody else was doing, and he became this larger than life character. And he took something that nobody else is doing, and he made it into something unique. So now you have Matt Hardy singing his praises, you have Mick Foley singing his praises, and he used social media and being unique to his advantage. Look at people that do, like, they have certain combos, they do certain crazy moves, and it gets jiffed, and then it gets blown up. It blows up on social media. Next thing you know, that person is getting booked at all these big shows. And sometimes the guys are really good, sometimes they're not. Doesn't matter, because they've already captured the attention of the crowd, the social media. So they've already they've captured that, and they got a little niche that's working. Warhorse is starting to do it.
Yep.
He's been busting his ass for years, and he's gotten himself into even better shape. He could always work, but now he's gotten himself into better shape, and now he took something he loved, that old school ass '80s metal, and now he's transformed himself into that, and now that's blowing up. Another one of my favorite gimmicks is Dan the Dad. Danny Adams just used to wrestle. He was just, kind of a guy out there. And then I think it was Ethan Page that had said, "Hey man, you should do this Dan the Dad gimmick." To me, it's one of my favorite gimmicks out there. The way he acts like an old dad. He wrestles in New Balances, has a belt, gives people whoopings, puts them in timeout. I love his promos. He's captured that essence. And to me, it's like he's found himself. So now, like back in the day, I remember we were writing to a show in Chicago a few years ago with Rhino, and he said it's so different now and how you get ahead. He said back in the day, you would just show up, you would help set up the ring, get some training, and you would kind of get like a match. You'd be a job guy or something like that, and you would work your way up the card. But you would have to be consistent and show up. And then in my era, it turned into pretty much who you knew, if you knew somebody, and if did you go to the seminars, did you go to the camps? Like that's all I got noticed by Ring of Honor. I kept going to their camps. I kept cutting promos that were different from everybody else, and my style had a lot of charisma. Everyone was trying to wrestle that Ring of Honor style. I was trying to be more of a personality. And then I started getting bookings through them because they were like, "Oh, this guy has something. He looks TV ready. Let's give him a shot." So that was something, and then also just going up, showing up to shows, having the setup, not getting paid, getting on the pre-show, and then being good in the ring. And then now I don't want to say it's a little bit easier because you have so many people flooding it, but it's social media. Do you put your whole life on social media? People like to know who you are and what you're doing. I use Ethan Page, man. To me, he's one of the best businessmen in professional wrestling. He has, with his vlogs, he has a great rapport with fans. People want to know what he's doing. They pay attention to what he's doing, and he has turned it into a business. And now he's making money off of wrestling, and he has his own promotion. He's one half of the current Impact Tag Team Champions, which they're a great a tag team. So he knows how to play the game. So a lot of it comes down to social media and being original. Characters seem to be the big thing right now, having a kooky character or being able to wrestle like that super indie style. Me, though, I think you have to, and I do think that's like a big thing for people nowadays. Like I said, they like social media, but I think the super indie style, it doesn't translate well if you don't have TV presence.
Right.
Because you'll see some guys on TV now that were huge on the indies, and I don't know if they get held back or whatever. I don't know how that works in certain promotions, but you see them on TV, and it's not the same. There's not the same connect with the crowd because it's different when you're wrestling for TV and when you're wrestling in front of like an indie crowd. It's totally different. Being able to know how to work on TV and be like a character on top of a really good in-ring worker, I believe that's two different things, and I believe that's really lost on a lot of people right now.
I say one thing that I really took from what you just said about your explanation was like, and this is beyond wrestling. From how I interpret it, it's just like in life in general. Like if you stay the course, it might not happen when you want it to happen, and it might not happen during your quote unquote prime. But if you stay the course, it will happen. Like that dream, or whatever your aspirations are, like you just gotta tweak a few things, and you adjust to the modern times, and like it'll happen, as you referred to Warhorse and Danhausen, how those guys were around,
Yeah.
and then they switched it up, and they adjusted to modern times, and got everything together within how it will relate to people on social media today. And now look at them, they're blowing
Yep.
up, like getting their own
Yeah.
WrestleMania week shows, and stuff like that. Like, and that stuff doesn't happen off the bat. Well, for some people it does, but like for people who've been on the independent scene, and tugging away at it, and now you look at how far they've come, and others as well, because this is not the first time this is happened for somebody to just blow up. But it just shows that if you stay the course, and that if you keep pushing forward, like I said, it might not happen exactly when you want it to happen, but if you stay along that course, it will happen.
Look at Joey Ryan.
Yeah,
You know, a
yeah.
lot of people don't like that, but he has something that people connect with. Look at Orange Cassidy. You know what I mean? A
That's
lot of
another
people
one.
don't like that, but he has something that people connect with. He has that showmanship side of it that people they like to see. They like to see that, and he can work. The
That
dude's a great
you
worker.
you 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 wanna know what's crazy about that to me? Like there's people like who legitimately think like he can't wrestle. Like I don't know where that
That's that stupidity
I
of like the oh, I can't stand that.
like no, because
If they
like
did they not watch him in Chikara? Like the dude's amazing.
he Orange Cassidy's been on the independent scene for at least a decade, right? Or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Like so I'm like I think the reason he does the thing that he does now is because he realizes that it can separate him from the pack. He can easily, I'm pretty sure he
Yeah.
can easily go out there and just wrestle, and put on a good match, and get a nice bit of praise on social media. But I think the thing that makes him stand out is what he's doing now, and that's how he gets attention. That's how he got signed to AEW's, for doing what he's doing now, opposed to
Yeah.
just going out there and just wrestling, then getting the praise, and then that's it.
And you have to separate yourself from the pack. Some people have it. Some people can walk in a room and they have that it factor.
Right.
It takes more than that nowadays for wrestling. Two guys off the bat, Jake something. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He's huge on the indies right now, and he's starting to get a buzz. And Impact uses him as Jake Diener, but he's way more than that.
Uh-huh.
Jake, I've known him for freaking years, almost like 15, 20 years. I've known him forever. One of my best friends. He walks into a room. It doesn't matter if we're in the airport. It doesn't matter if we're in a restaurant. It doesn't matter where we are. People look at him. He's a big dude. It didn't matter when he had his beard. It didn't matter if he was clean cut. He just had something about him. So when he wrestled, on top of that, people are like, "Ooh," you know what I mean? Because he's great in the ring. He just has that it factor. My partner, Karam, the Hustle and the Muscle, he has that big jack dude, long ass wet hair. He walks into a room, people are like, "Oh," you know what I mean? Me being 5'8", I have to go out there and then open my mouth for people to be like, oh, and usually it's like people are like, oh man, fuck this guy, but that's also a good reaction too. But it's yeah, you have to do something to separate yourself from the pack because there's so many people that can actually wrestle
Yeah,
nowadays,
yeah,
but there's not a lot of people that can stand out. Whether you look good, whether you have the size, whether you have the natural athletic ability, whether you have the charisma, you got to have something that helps you stand out. And if it takes putting your hands in your pockets, wearing some shades, and doing some stuff slow, so be it. I mean, you're getting money and you're getting signed and you're getting TV time, whether people like it or not.
right, right. I said let's jump into Impact Wrestling for a little bit, where you're known as Rohit Raju of the Desi Hit Squad. Over the years that the group has been established within Impact, I think it has had a few high points and some low points as well. What do you credit those high points to? And if you care to share some of those low points, I would say, if there were any, from your perspective.
Well, I mean, let's call it how it is. You know what I mean? I love one of my favorite things about being in the Desi Hit Squad is being with Gama. I
Right.
absolutely love Gama. Gama, I love to hear. I tell this every single podcast. I love to hear his stories. He has some great stories. The man is a hidden gem in professional wrestling, and he's also a really good worker. I had a chance to work with him in New York, and he's like, I can't really do much, and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll just do this, this, and this. We go out there, we do the lockup. He swings into the hammerlock, then to the headlock, does the whole swing around, gets me back in the headlock, and hits me in the face. He does it so effortlessly, so smooth. The crowd starts chanting, "You still got it," because no one expects this from Gama, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And I literally start smiling in the ring because I'm like, "You son of a bitch! Like you can still work." And I just thought it was awesome. And we go to Mexico and they ask him to cut this promo, and he's like, "I don't really speak Spanish." He goes out there and cuts the whole promo in Spanish, has the fans eating out of his hands, and it's just like, man, it's insane. As far the Desi Hit Squad has been a real weird journey. I love being at Impact. It's I never thought I would be there. There was a time when I was working a 40-hour, 44. It actually was 45-hour, 45 hours a week at my job, full-time job, trying to wrestle, using all my vacation time for wrestling.
Mm.
And I'll never forget when Scott Demore like, there's no way you're gonna make it. You can't do both. And I said, well, I'm gonna at least try. And I ended up winning the Global Forge thing, and then I stepped down at my job or whatever, and I don't, I wrestle now. So it's such a good feeling that, like you're saying, staying the course and making it. When I first got there, I was Hakim Zane, and then they wanted to do something with an Indian group, and I think they had the plan, but the execution just wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So they announced all these people who they had planned on being in the Desi Hit Squad, but they didn't have anybody. And one of the people they announced was green as grass. He was still having to train. He's still training, Bhupinder. Really good. As far as he's only been wrestling for a year, had like a handful of matches, and I'm sure you've seen him on TV. Really good kid.
Yeah.
Super green, but man, he's bored. He's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be phenomenal when he's done. They had Gama, they didn't have Raj at the time, and we had signed Gersinder, but nothing was official. And then they had me, so it ended up just being me at first, and they had me as a babyface. And then I don't think they really knew what they wanted to do. They brought in Gersinder, and then we ended up being a heel tag. And it was weird because I was a babyface 1 week, and then the next week we had recorded stuff, and then I was teaming up with him, and we were a heel. And it was rough at first because all the tag teams that were in Impact at the time had been working together for years. And then Tony and I get together, or Cassandra, we get together, and we're trying to figure out each other's style, you know what I mean? How the other one moves and all this stuff. And he lived in Toronto, and I was in Michigan, and we were pretty far away, and so we didn't really have a place to meet. We were trying to get booked on shows together so we could get more ring time. And then we started to gel a little bit. And then he ends up leaving. He ends up leaving. So it was just like, okay, well, there's that. And then they bring in Raj. And so we're right back to square one. So we never, and then Raj and I have to learn how to gel. And Raj, he was out for a while. He was trying to get into WWE at the time, so he wasn't really wrestling. He was trying to keep himself healthy, but he wasn't getting any, ring work. So he has to knock the ring rust off. So at this time, we're trying to work. And literally the first time he comes in the ring, he gives me the gut buster, and when he pressed me, he blew his shoulder out.
Oh.
And it was in New York when I was wrestling Gamma. So we're already limited there. So it's like, man, what a freak accident. So then we're trying to gel, and so they don't want to, they're not really going to get behind us until we start gelling. So we're just pretty much Impact job guys at the time, trying to get some experience and trying to gel as a tag team. And then we finally started to gel a little bit. We had the thing with the Deaners, which was cool. That was really fun. And
yeah, when y'all
we
were
started
doing
to
the
get a
farm
little
stuff,
bit.
that was hilarious.
Yeah, man, that was classic. that was one of my favorite things. In fact, I got to ride a horse, and that was just so cool to me. And then we finally started to gel, and again, we were up and down, up and down, up and down. And then they brought in Shira. So that was cool. And now, finally, we're really starting to build some momentum. Then, of course, Raj gets hurt. His knee is jacked up right now, so he's out. So now it's Shira and I. Now, Shira and I are trying to figure out how to gel. So it's like, man, it's never really taken off. As soon as it starts to take off, something happens. And then we're right back to square one. So it's been more lows than it has been highs. I really love when I get to do the X Division matches because it's just me, depending on me, and going out there and being able to show my stuff. But I do feel that Shira and I have picked up quicker than the other incarnations of the tag team. And because it's like me just being the workhorse and him being the muscle, you know what I mean? Him being the heater. So it has been a lot of lows, but I think as of late, we've really been picking up some steam. We've had some really good wins and some really good matches. So I'm hoping now we're going to be on the right track with this, and then Raj will come back at some point when he's healthy. But right now I'm hoping that Shira and I will start to gel even better, and then, we'll continue this upward trend that we're doing. Yeah, it's been a struggle. It honestly has.
I say,
but it's been good as of late. It's been really good.
Like as you mentioned about doing the X Division matches, and I think you've had some like X Division like contender title matches, like some of those. Have you ever considered like a singles run, or having one of either the Desi Hit Squad members to take on like a role similar to how the Man Fulton character is with a Sammy Callahan or a Dave or Jay Chris, and them sort of leading you character wise into the X Division Championship? Has that ever been something that you ever considered?
I always consider it one of my main things. My strength is being able to just be me and go out there and work. You know what I mean? But it's whatever they have in the cards. It's whatever they feel. To me, one of my dream things is give me that microphone. Let me have an X Division run.
Right.
Let Shara be my Madman Fulton. Let me be the Sammy of the group. Let me be the mastermind, and let Gama oversee everything. That's what I would love. I've asked and I've pitched it, but I just it's not what they want at the moment. I don't. It's just not what they have in the cards. I hope it happens. I hope I get that run. I hope I get the chance to cut the promos that I do on the indies, on national TV. Who the hell doesn't want that? And, I've been asked, too. It's like my goal when I got into wrestling, and I enjoy the tag stuff. I do. I enjoy tagging with Shira, but that's not my end goal. My end goal is to be my own man. My end goal is to be my own star. My end goal is to be larger than life on my own. You know, kind of how we talked about. We were talking about Kobe earlier. You know, off air.
Mm.
We were talking about how he transcends his sport. I don't feel like there's any guys right now in the world of professional wrestling that do. I feel like John Cena was the last guy that did that because
Yeah.
he could talk on the mic, he could tell a story in the ring, he was larger than life. You know, the great ones, 30 years from now, everyone can do all these, we can all do cool moves, we can all do all these, have these great matches. 30 years from now, though, we're still going to be talking about Austin, we're still going to be talking about Rock, we're still going to be talking about Hogan and Flair, and guys like that because they transcended the sport.
Mm.
And that's what I model myself after, having that character, having that good ring work, and being able to talk on the microphone. So that's, if I'll ever reach, I don't know if I'll ever reach their status, you know what I'm saying? Who knows? But that's my goal. That's what I'm working towards. If I'm not working towards being the best, why am I even trying? But I hope Impact sees that, and I hope they give me that chance because my end goal is not to be just, you know, a Desi Hit Squad guy for the rest of my life.
Mm.
That's not my end goal. That's not why I got into professional wrestling. I'm enjoying it now, and that's my role now, but I'm working towards something bigger. That's because why wouldn't you? Who goes into an entry-level job and just is okay with the entry-level position? No one does.
Mm.
You strive to be the best. So, yeah, man, I hope that happens. I always think about that. I always think about more, and I strive and push myself to get better so I can get that. So hopefully Impact sees that as well.
One of the more spotlighted moments that I remember from the Desi Hit Squad, I believe it was the Rebellion pay per view from April of 2019, where you took on Scarlett Bordeaux, and that got a lot of traction, a lot of attention on social
Yeah.
media, and people tuned into that match. I know there's varying thoughts like on intergender wrestling. I know some people don't like it, some people do like it. Would just tell me what are your thoughts about intergender wrestling and basically if if people don't necessarily, because I mean I understand like the connotations that can come with that to a certain extent, but I feel like it's sort of a deeper thing as to why some people don't like it. I've never had an issue with it, but what do you think overall about intergender wrestling and the negative and positive reactions that can come with it?
I think it has its place. Everything in professional wrestling has its place. Joey Ryan dick flipping people has a place in professional wrestling. It's just where you do it and how you do it. Me versus Scarlett. I mean, it's like she was out there body slamming me and gorilla pressing me and stuff like that. It had its place. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I thought we told a really good story. I was a big piece of trash. I was bitter. I was jealous that she was getting all this attention, and she was, you know, she was a rocket ship. She was taking off. But then you compare someone like Scarlett, and then you look at Tessa.
Mm.
Look how Tessa wrestles. Tessa wrestles like, and taking nothing away from Scarlett because I think she's amazing, but Tessa wrestles like an athlete.
Mm.
Like she wrestles better than a lot of
She
people,
has an
man or
aggressive
woman. You know
style.
what I mean? She has a very aggressive style. She's bang, 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 bang. So there's a difference. So to say like when you have someone like when Sable wrestled, she wasn't at doing that same energy like Tessa was. So there's a difference. It's like it becomes like a gimmick match in a sense, and then a contest depending on who's in the ring. There's a lot of ladies out there right now that wrestle like that. But I understand why people don't like it as well. Like I don't care what people say. They can say, "Oh, it's just a show. It's fake. It's this. It's that." One of the things about professional wrestling is to suspend the disbelief.
Right.
I don't go to a magic show and want to know how they do the magic trick. I don't want to. That's not what I do.
I'd say, like,
So I think a big. Oh, I'm sorry. A big thing I was going to say is like, so you're not supposed to hit a woman and punch her in the face. So I don't think guys should be slugging. If you're going to wrestle like that, do the intergender matches, I don't think people should be punching them in the face and doing all this stuff unless it's for the dramatic purpose of the storyline, kind of how like Sammy and Tessa did it. But I think it has its place, but I understand why people don't like it as well. I see both sides of the story. I personally don't have a problem with it if it's done right.
That's kind of one of the things that I get kind of confused about when people say that it's hard for them to suspend their belief with certain things, like and not to compare uh different eras of wrestling, but like people say they can't suspend their disbelief with things today, and I'm like, dude, like we believe that a person could shoot fireballs from his hands. Like
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure we can believe that. You know, just off the top of my head, like I guess a guy like Marco Stunt can wrestle. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's the kind of
Yeah.
the whole thing with it is that the whole you're supposed to suspend your belief just for a moment in that second. So right now I kind of got like a layered kind of question for you. It's short, but it's like I think it's layered. So what is the difference between Hakim Zane and Rohit Raju?
The big difference a lot of times is just honestly what I'm wearing to the ring. Someone asked me this the other day when I first started Impact. When they first gave me the gimmick of Rohit Raju, I'm thinking like, man, my mother was adopted. She's Indian, but she was adopted, so I didn't really know a lot about culture. Okay, so a lot of times I go to Gama and I go to Shira and I ask them certain things because she was adopted and she didn't know her family. So my dad was from Atlanta, and so I didn't do a lot of Indian cultures at all. I didn't do a lot of that stuff. So I'm trying to represent India and not be like your typical stereotype character that disrespects, our culture as well. And so I'm really in my early days, I'm like going out there, not really confident. You can tell I really don't know who I am yet. And then it was Johnny Bravo and Dave Chris. They walk up to me and they go, "Just be you. Just be you. Just go out there, be you, and have fun. You're not the same guy that I normally see." And so I said, "Screw it." I stopped caring. I said, "I'm just going to be me."
All right.
And that's who I am. I'm just Rohit Raju. Or in Hakim Zane, I go out there. I'm strutting through the ring. I'm very cocky. I'm very loud. I'm very obnoxious. I'm very intense. That's the difference. Unless it's like the AAW stuff, that's a little bit more visceral, a little bit more gritty. I wish I could display that there because I could use the same type of negative energy that I do in my AAW stuff with Rohit Raju. I mean, there's tons of stuff I can do, and I've pitched, the way I want to cut promos and be a little bit more serious.
Hmm.
Uh, there's tons of stuff like that. But Hakeem Zane, it's just me. You know what I mean? I'm a very intense individual. I'm a very focused individual, but I love to have fun. I love to be I'm very competitive. But I like to also crack jokes and stuff. So when you see me out there doing that, you see my reactions to things. That's just me turned up to 11. And now that's what I've done. I've embraced myself, and now I'm just wearing traditional garb instead of wearing the black vest out to the ring. That's the difference. The main difference is, I guess, like I said, like it's whether I'm being a more comedic character or if I'm more vicious. And the AAW stuff, to me, that's the best because it's serious, to mean, it's vicious, and it's also proving a point that's real. Whereas I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants when I'm out there strutting to the ring, and it's just, okay, what feeling hits me now? And that's the feeling. How would I react to this? Guy punches me in the face. How would I react to it? Or, oh my God, they just tagged in the big tag team partner. How would I react to it? And I try to do that in an entertaining fashion. So there's really no difference. I've kind of embraced the two and try to make it work. Now I'm comfortable in my skin.
For sure, man. Like I think you have a real nice outlook on it. Like as far as the what you can do in Impact versus how you navigate what you do on the independent scene. Like I know a lot of people. Well, I ain't gonna say a lot of people. I would say uh, some would be very critical of those situations, but I feel like with the experience that you've had throughout your career, it sort of allows you to see different things in certain light, in a certain light, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and it took me a while too. It took me a while to actually just say, screw it, I'm just gonna do what I feel like doing and what I feel comfortable doing,
the,
and that's the best. That gives me the most confidence when I'm comfortable.
and you've been in wrestling for over a decade, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
11 years.
Wow, man, that's a nice career, man. There's a lot of people that'll be towards the tail end, at this stage. But that's great that you're still, still progressing and still going and still looking to improve. Because I think,
Always.
I think with time and with when we're like so in like well into something, we can become just as humans. We can become stagnant at times. But it's good. It's
Mhm.
good to know that you're still feeling like I'm not doing enough, or I need to do this, or I need to do that, and that's always a good thing in my opinion. Like some people might see it as like unneeded stress, but I think it's always a good thing to have that thing on your back where it's like, yeah, I've been in for 11 years, I've seen different places, et cetera, but you still feel like there's plenty more for you to do. With that experience, have you ever considered training or producing once you do decide to step away from the ring?
Yeah, I would. I love training. I used to do Wing Chun Kung Fu for like 10 years, and then I was training not kids, but people in that for a while. When I had done dabbled in mixed martial arts for a long time, and then I would help train newer people, whether it was the grappling or the striking and stuff. So training people in professional wrestling, that's something I would love to do when it's all said and done. I honestly would like to make a bigger name for myself, like you were saying. I still have a lot to prove. I know what I can do and what I'm capable of, so I kind of have that chip on my shoulder, and I want to get that good run before it's all said and done. Wrestling doesn't owe anybody anything, but I do. I'm working my ass off to get it. I want to get that good run and that recognition. And then when it's all said and done, hopefully I built up a good brand for myself to where I can open up a school and train people. I would love to do that. I
Mm.
love coaching people and helping them out. And when young guys come up to me and say, "Hey, can you watch my match?" It makes me feel great because they actually, they look at you like something, like like your opinion is worth a damn. So it makes me feel good. And it's just like being a fan of anything that you can pick out the flaws, the do's and don'ts, and the pros and cons. So I enjoy doing it. Definitely can see myself doing that.
Yeah, that sounds like a solid plan to me, as far as the next steps further down the line. Just to wrap it up here, Hakeem, and I do want to thank you for your time again. Impact Wrestling, they announced that they're going to be bringing back TNA Wrestling in April. What present versus past matches would you be interested in seeing, just from just from a fan's perspective and a competitor's perspective? I know they've announced Aces and Eights. I believe they've announced Chris Sabin. What other
Yeah,
guys?
he got announced
Yeah,
today.
what other guys would you like to see come back? And what would be some of the matches that you would be interested in competing in? And what would be some of the matches that you would just like to see and just sit back and watch?
I honestly would love to just get Mike Time against Monty Brown.
There it is.
I hope Monty comes back. I talked to him. I told him about it. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope they get him.
Oh, is he?
Monty and I stay in the same city, so I've known him for quite some time, and he's been a big help in my career as far as giving me pointers. But I think he's a very underrated wrestler as far as especially his promos. A lot of people don't remember his promos, and his promos were some of the best promos in just wrestling, and I don't think he gets a lot of credit for what he was doing back then. And the man is still as big as a house. He's
Yeah,
huge,
yeah.
huge. Just a giant of a man. So yeah, I hope he goes back, and I hope he cuts a badass promo and lights it on fire, and people are like, man, Ronnie Brown,
That's
he's
it.
awesome.
Is he? Have you? I know you say you've spoken to him. Is he like? But from what you can tell, is he interested in possibly coming back and participating on that show in some sort?
That I don't know. I know Monty, and anytime I see him and we start talking wrestling, his eyes light up.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that fire in him. So I don't think it ever goes away. And I don't know. I can't speak for him on that part. I have no idea. I just hope he does as a fan, and also I hope he does because I mean that's the guy that was doing the pounce before anybody else
Yeah,
was. So
yeah.
let's give credit where credit's due. So
I say, lastly here, just from you and like I said, your experience that you tallied up so far. Tell me how busy is the life of a wrestler during Mania week. I see so many. There are so many shows, man, during that weekend. So many talents being booked, so many wrestlers being booked. Have you had the chance to be a part of one of those weekends? And if so, how crazy is the schedule for a lot of people?
actually, this is my first one.
Oh wow!
I normally,
Congratulations, man. That's crazy. Yeah, that's
yeah, I
congratulations,
normally
man.
don't really try.
Mm,
I don't know if I'll be at Impact. I will be down for Glory Pro. I am trying to get in other promotions, but
mm,
these guys aren't getting back a hold of me, which is a pain in the butt. I've hit up a few promoters, and they just kayfabing,
mm,
not getting back a hold of me, which is such a pain. I can't stand that. But it's either you got a spot or you don't. So just let me know.
mm.
But I'm hoping to get at least a few more shows down there. I'm hoping I'm on the Impact show just because I would really love to see all the TNA guys that I grew up, and I'm sure I got their action figures in my garage, still. So and hell, man, let me get in there with Petey. I love wrestling Petey. So put me in an X Division scramble match with like Petey and a bunch of guys. I would love that. So, but no, man, I've seen guys. I've talked to guys, and from what I hear, it's extremely busy. You're constantly on the go, and it's super packed. So
Oh yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope I can get on a few shows just to wrestle. I want to work.